All right. That's our first day, and the first small lecture we're going to take uh, would be, let me just kind of reintroduce ourselves. You guys here, we call ourselves BI Tech Institute or BI Tech Training. Uh, we actually call ourselves the Bereans, okay? And from there, we came up with the word BI Tech. That's Bereans Institute. That's where that whole thing comes from, okay? And so, who were the Bereans in the first place? Can anybody guess who the Bereans were in scriptures? Yeah, I give it to you guys by saying scriptures. Who heard that word Bereans before? Anybody?
The book of Acts, yes.
Yes, that's in the book of Acts. Any other person kind of have something to say about the Bereans? Good. The book of Acts 17:10 to 12 says this. Now the Bereans were of more noble character than the Thessalonians, for they received the message with great eagerness and examined the scriptures every day to see if what Paul said was true. And the Bible continued to say, and many believed, and some became disciples of Jesus Christ. The Bible will say that. And now who's a disciple? A disciple is just a follower. But these Bereans, guys, it's the only place in the Bible or in scriptures that they mentioned or that some people were called of noble character. And why were they noble? Because they, when Paul was teaching them, they listened very carefully. They received the message with great eagerness. It doesn't mean they accepted everything, but they were eager to hear. And then when they heard, they went home and examined the scriptures every day. Guys, not once, not only on Sundays, but they did every day. And what was the reason for them doing that? Just to confirm or to see if what Paul was teaching them was true. And how do I relate this to my class since 20-something years ago? Is that if you all, us, me included, whatever we do, we take it as the Bereans did, and we look at it with great eagerness. In other words, you are eager to study. You are eager, you listen, and you say, so what is this? You go cross-check, examine it, and come back the next day and ask questions. Then you would succeed, you would learn. That is how they learn. But if you listen carefully, right, if you listen right, and you don't take any notes and you go home, there's nothing to examine because you won't be able to even remember what you heard. So you have to listen, write down, take notes, go home, cross-check your notes, and see if you can remember what we said and if it makes sense at all. If it doesn't make sense, then you come back the next day with questions. If it makes sense, you come back the next day with questions just to get you stronger, or you come back to listen to get more. That's why we call ourselves the Bereans. All our students, when we finish, we call ourselves the Bereans. So when we meet, we call ourselves the Bereans everywhere we go. And for 10, 20 years, I have friends who still call each other, hey, Berean, how you doing? So when we say the Bereans in our class, we understand what that means. We are all working together, like it said in Proverbs 17:27, like iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another. That's how the Bereans work. So that is our motto, and that's where our name comes from, right? And with that said, let's continue. Now we have an hour to go. I would not waste any day without learning new things. And today we are not going to do any hands-on because I know a lot of you are not prepared with laptops, 2 monitors, and that kind of thing. But tomorrow, not the next day, we would start to do things by hand. We'll start to do real work. So please get yourself a second monitor tomorrow. Order it tonight. It may come tomorrow or the next day. Very, very important. With that said, let's move into our first little course, Introduction to Oracle. Since Oracle is going to be our main course, as far as databases is concerned, Oracle is like the mother of all databases. For example, when you know Oracle and they are paying you, say, $70 per hour, that's for Oracle. Somebody who knows Microsoft SQL, they're paying them $35 per hour. Let me don't get that too low. Let me say $45 per hour. That is the difference. Because Oracle is very, very powerful, very, very complex to learn, to the point where, like I said, right, almost no school is teaching Oracle. No university will teach Oracle at all. Because if the professors knew it, they would go to work. They would not be teaching. Maybe I may be one of those few who knows Oracle and is teaching all his life instead of working 2-3 jobs. Because if you keep it all to yourself, what good is it? So we are going to look at a brief history of Oracle. But most importantly, we are going to do introduction to the terminology that surrounds Oracle. Oops. To the terminology. Just 1 second. Let me get something here. No fear. Like that. Yes. The big thing that we're going to get would be that, the terminology of Oracle. That will be the biggest thing we'll study here. Then the other thing that we would look here, which we'll probably do that tomorrow, is database configurations. This you carry throughout your life as a DBA. We're doing Oracle configuration, but it's actually that applies to all databases. So that's what we're going to do here. And for the next 50 minutes, we're going to dig into this quite some. So this is when, guys, everybody get your notebook. I know you haven't bought your color pens and pencils to write like a kid, but we would get into that as we move along. So I'm going to give you guys just a second. Let me get my other stuff here ready. Let me, oops, I'm not on Zoom yet, right? And eventually we would have our classes, all videos on as we go, as we proceed also. We like to have videos on through the class. So let me start by this little introduction. I'll give you this document to read, so I don't have to go through the whole thing, okay? Just for your curiosity, I would like you to read some of this stuff on your own. So if you check here, just the brief history, guys, let me just start there. The guy who actually owns Oracle and is the chief founder is this guy called Larry Ellison. If you Google him, you're going to hear him a lot. But he started this thing since 1997. No, 1977, my God. Yep. 1977. That's when he was working for IBM as a developer, and they were developing the IBM database called DB2, and they rejected most of his ideas, so he quit went and started a company in his basement. And then as things started moving, he invited his friend, one called Bob Mina, he's still there, and Ed Oaks, these guys still work with him. And they joined him and they formed this company. And the company was called Relational Software Incorporated, which was like RSI, okay? Okay, but later on, of course, he named that thing Oracle, and they keep moving on, okay? And by 1983, 1983, okay, there was Oracle version 3. They were actually advancing pretty fast. Okay, so that was 93, version 3. Then version 4 came by 1984. 1983 version 3, 1984 version 4, and he kept growing. By 1998, he had version 6. See, I won't go through all the details. And by 1992, what do I mean? I said 1988, version 6. Then 1992, Oracle 7. So he changed how he was naming it now. He started calling it like Oracle 7, Oracle 8. Okay. And by 97, he came up with Oracle 8. And let's keep going. Let's see where he went later on. Yes. All the same. Currently, where are we? Currently, he has, what we are running right now is Oracle. We are going to start with Oracle 11. This, as a matter of fact, is called Oracle 11G, which stands for like Oracle Graphical User Interface something. No, Oracle Grid, excuse me. Okay, which the G there is the word grid. Then there is Oracle 12C, and where that C stood for the cloud. So Oracle Cloud. This was like 2010 that it came with 12C. Just 1 second. Let me wipe this. Let me write this correctly. 12C stands for 12 Cloud. Then he skipped to 18. So 12C actually became very popular by 2012. Then he skipped, 12C moved all along until he got to 18C. And then 19C, 1 year later. Okay, and now there is Oracle 21C. But Oracle 21C is in what we call the Oracle Cloud. Okay, so 21C is in the Oracle Cloud. Cool. But we would start our class because I want you guys to have a deep breath of this thing. So when you finish your 6 years time machine, you would have the knowledge of this Oracle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As a matter of fact, we're going to touch Oracle 10. So this would be our compressed 6 year time machine course. We're going to cover all of those. Now, what are the big terminologies, guys? To study anything, right? Anything new. First, look at the big words. Then after that, you look at the architecture of what you're trying to study. Once you understand the architecture, the terminology, then that topic or subject will become very, very easy. Much easier than you could ever imagine. Okay, because the architecture shows you how it is built, how the system functions, okay, and the layout. So, but we're going to start today with some terminology. And all I need you to do now is to just write down the terminology. And maybe one little phrase near it that catches your mind. Our first terminology is going to be ad hoc query. Now you ask yourself, what is ad hoc? What does that mean? Now, what does the word ad hoc mean? And what does the word query mean? But the entire thing is one word, ad hoc query. Guys, just in regular English that me and you know, for those who are English students, what does the word ad hoc means? Or what's a synonym? Let's go that way instead. What's a synonym for ad hoc? Anybody?
I think something that is a special.
Okay, something
special purpose.
Okay. Yep.
Something that is not permanent. It's only made for something or for a time being and it disappears after that.
Absolutely. So what's a one word for it? That's a good definition too, though. So what is
The word regular?
A special purpose query.
Yep. It could be, yeah, thank you. It could be special purpose query, one-time query. You're right. But what is the English word?
The word regular or irregular come to mind.
Yes,
for me, I don't.
That's true. Could be not the regular thing, is the unusual, the sudden. But the real word is impromptu. Is it impromptu or impromptu? Somebody help me.
Impromptu.
Is it in or im?
I am. If I am.
See? We're all learning English.
It is
It's an M,
impromptu.
impromptu. M.
I am. Impromptu.
Yes. Like somebody said, all of a sudden, just something that just came up, you just react. So an impromptu query. Now, what is the word query? We need to break this down for them to make sense. So when they say a query, in regular English, guys, they say you are queried. Somebody queries you. What does that mean? What is a synonym? What could be
Question?
a synonym?
Question.
Yes, it could be a question. Yep, like they say, they take you to the police station to query you, means to question you. Could be a question with a big exclamation sign. Guys, in computers, the actual thing is a select. You query the database, you ask the database something. So a query could be asking question. So the real word in the database would be a select statement against the database. A select statement asks the database for something. For you to get something out of the database, you write a select or a query statement. Okay, so the key word that we will change this to later on will be a query, no, a select. So a select is a query against the database. Guys, this is the first key thing you study. So an impromptu query is a query that you have a problem now, you just write that query just to solve that one problem or to get that information. So that is an impromptu query. Then there is the next thing. So that is our number one. Our number two thing would be this word, guys. Let me fill your screen with this word. This word should never leave your mind. What is a block? If you remember, in real life, a block is something that will look like that. Remember, like a building block, even the one that kids use when they play. A block will look something like that, right? And that's what it is. A data block. What is a block in computers? Guys, this is the core of storage in all computers. This one, I want you to write block, and you're going to put 3 stars with your red pen near them, that you would remember this, you're going to study this. If this is all you learn today in this class, it is worth it. If this is all that you're going to catch today. Cool. A block. Guys, let's get the definition before I draw a block. A query I cannot draw, but I will draw a block. So guys, I want everybody to write me this tiny little sentence, a block. Just write near it, the smallest unit of storage in an Oracle database. This is now an Oracle block, but in computers, the smallest unit of storage in every computer is also a block. But since we're dealing with Oracle, we say the smallest unit of storage in an Oracle block, in an Oracle database, is called the Oracle block or the block. So this should be the thing we learned today from this class. If this is all that you remember from today, know you have started studying a database. The smallest unit of storage. Guys, maybe you should do this. You should say the smallest unit of data storage. Maybe that will make more sense. Smallest unit of data storage. Because we are studying data, guys. We are here to study how to store data and manage data for a company. Without data, the internet is useless. When you Google and you get stuff, that is coming from a database. When you get your email, it is coming from a database. As we are talking right now, it is going to a database somewhere. Okay? So a block is the smallest unit of storage in an Oracle database. The database contains something they call the header information concerning, concerning the block itself, as well as the data or PL SQL code. You have to write all of that down. The Oracle block size is configurable, and most importantly, everybody just write this, minimum size being 2 KB. And just write minimum size, and for now, we would not care about the maximum because I know it has changed and I need to update my notes. It is changed to some, depending on the machine, some might be 32 KB and some could even be 64 KB in some wild computers. That is the block. And guys, our first diagram for the block would look something like, let me see if I have space to draw that. Yes. So guys, the Oracle block, right? Let me just kind of draw something which will be our first diagram for this class. The Oracle block will look something like this. Let me draw. When I finish drawing, then you would have the time to draw the same thing. Get your hand for your first drawing today. So the block will look like that. That's a real block. Like a piece of cinder block, a block with which you build houses, right? Okay. Then, but that block, that oracle block, we're going to find out as we study that that block itself is divided into three main parts. Something like that. And then another piece. Cool. The block is something like that. So guys, for now, just watch. Then later when I finish, you would kind of wiggle this around. So those are the three main parts of the block. Then the top part of the block is itself divided into three main parts. And later on, we're going to find out why things are divided into threes. Because 3 is the perfect number. 3 gives you the strongest structure on the face of the earth. That's why if you think about it, guys, when Jesus Christ died, he was in the grave for 3 days. When he started his ministry, he had lived for 3 times 10 years. And when he died, he was 3 times 11, 33 years, right? And you have the Trinity, and you have the 3 wise men, and you have the 3 everything in the Bible. The word 3 appears in the Bible more than 50 times. And so the oracle block is divided into 3 main parts, and the header of the block is divided into 3. So let me kind of write a few things. Just listen, it might be a little bit boring, but we will get there, guys. The first section, which is that section, is actually called the header. And then there is a section called the free space. The free space is that section there. Then there is a section called the raw data. Raw data, aka percentage used. Or no, let me, yeah, percentage used. Let's just leave it like that for now. No, let me put that correctly. PICT or IE PCT used. Remember that sign that stands for percent, right? And the free space is also known as, let me zoom in a little bit. So that free space is also known as PCT, IE. Let me reverse that. Percentage free. Cool. And remember, that one is this area here. Okay, cool. So these are the 3 areas of the oracle block. And let me just write some other few things that I wouldn't get into much detail like I used to before, but I think I should put enough information that would make more sense. So this percentage, this free space, right? Free space in the Oracle database block is used No. I would not say use. I'll say it is reserved. It is reserved for, that area is reserved for row updates. A row is data, guys. Row or data updates. Then, what about the raw data itself? That raw data is reserved for actual data or raw data. Data is stored in the database in the form of rows, actual or raw data. So your data in the database goes in the raw data area of the block. And what about the header? The header itself is divided into three main parts. The three main parts contain different information. So this area is reserved for table. No, let me just start. I say general. Okay, let me start with table. Table, row, and general info. That's information. Information for data of data. Say of data in the block. I'll say saved in the block. Guys, that's all we need to know about this whole thing. Then one more thing that I would also say, normally we could take 2 classes to just study the Oracle block, because it is the building block of data in the database. And if you remember, guys, we called this area here, let me come back with a black pen. We call this area down here PCT used. And we call this one, remember, that PCT there equals percentage, right? So this one up here is percentage free or PCT free. And it is used for updates. The one down here would contain nothing but rows or raw data. Row, let's call it rows. Row is data. And this guy up here would contain updates. That's a big thing. But how are they divided into 3? Let's kind of put that idea down. So the block itself is divided into 3 main sections like that. If it is divided into 3 main sections, it means from here, guys, to up there is 100%. So this is 100%. And the default of that 100% is 8 bytes, 8 kilobytes, excuse me. And that defaults to, no, let me write it outside. That defaults to 8 KB. We're going to study KBs tomorrow, okay? 8 kilobytes. So if 8 kilobytes is 100%, then what about the raw data or the PCT used area? That PCT used area could be, let's just assume this, guys, that the PCT used area, I think by default is like 40%. So 40% of 8 kilobytes will be that area. Then you may have let's go back out. Let's say 40%. No, guess what? Let me kind of divide it so that it's so don't have fractions when I go to mention it, okay? So I would say this, 50%. And let's say this other one here is 30%. And the header is 20%. So guys, 50% of 8 kilobytes is 4 KB. And 30% of, what 30% of 8, guys? Oh, that C doesn't divide very well. What's 30% of
2.4 KB.
2.4
KB.
Okay, let's just say 2.4 KB. And the other one could be maybe 1 point something KB. Okay, 1.6 KB. Hopefully, if you add those numbers, they come up to 8 KB. So, guys, this is how you, the DBA, you sometimes may have to decide how much is used for the rows, and how much area is reserved for updates. Okay. If you don't, Oracle will give some default values, and sometimes the default values may not be very, very good for you. So this is what the Oracle block is. So when you become a database designer, remember somebody asked from the beginning, so what am I? A database designer would make this kind of determinations depending on the use of the database. In some databases, right, you may make that free space 0. If you think that nobody would ever update data in that database, you make free space or PCT free 0, because nobody's ever going to update. Because that area is only for update of rows that are already in the raw data area. Okay. As a matter of fact, you see why I wrote rows? Most of the time, right, it's actually called raw data. Let me kind of fix that. We call it the raw data area. If you think that your database, people will always come in to change their information, update things, then you want to make PCT free bigger. Otherwise, your database will be fragmented over time. Cool. So guys, that is a whole day of, that used to be a whole day of class in the days I studied Oracle. It was so difficult to understand. Hope it's not as difficult for you guys to understand right now. So people, I want somebody to do this. Take me a screenshot of this and put in the group for me. Who knows how to take a screenshot of just that diagram? Not everything, guys. Just that picture. That's something I was supposed to show you guys. Everybody watch this. We did install Evernote. We created an account. I did not show you guys yet how to log into that account. So guys, everybody go to your computer for me and open Evernote with your, if you have Google, use your Google login, it might be easier. So I already have an account, so mine would not show me much information, frankly speaking. But if you open that thing, I want everybody to open Google, to open for me Evernote. We're going to have maybe a whole half a class just for us to learn how to use Evernote. That is the lifesaver for you as a DBA. Because you can keep every kind of note in here, and you can open it anywhere on your smartphone, on your computer. Just hang on, let me check if I can open Evernote. I have it already. Just 1 second. I want to see if I have the new one or the old one. Which one do I have? Yeah, I have the old Evernote. Everybody open Evernote, log in with your Gmail, just so that every time you open your Gmail, it's already open for you. Let me do download Evernote, not the legacy one. There's two Evernotes. There's the older version, which I like and I'm using, which is called Evernote Legacy. Maybe you want to install that one too. Then there is just Evernote. So if I go to Evernote, I think I can install the new one because I don't have it. So click on that thing, guys. Oh, you have it already. Everybody just go type Evernote and search for it. You're going to open it. I want to install just so that mine will look like yours, because I'm using the much older version. Where are you, Evernote? Need to open when done. Let me just.
Prof,
Prof,
we can open the one we just downloaded, right?
Okay, open it, sign into it with your, how would I say? Yep, sign into it with your
email. It could be your Gmail.
With your Gmail, if you could.
And you could select a password.
Yeah, it's much easier. So you don't have to have too many passwords, guys. Anything that you're trying to create these days, let's say use your Google account, just use that. So that will reduce the number of passwords you need to remember. So like for me, thing is still opening. I do accept. I know you guys did install the new one. I'm using a much older version. Just a second, let mine install. What did I do? Why did I end? We got 15 more minutes. I would send you guys a YouTube just to learn how to use Evernote to keep notes, to capture notes very, very easily. Mine is still installing. So, all the same, if you have that thing open, what I wanted you guys to do was this, to take a screenshot, right? If you have your Evernote open like you want to create a brand new note, it's going to be there. Otherwise, I'll show you that tomorrow. Then to take a screenshot, guys, like I am here. Let me show you guys. Where was I? This is my screen. I want you to take this screenshot for me. This is what you do, everybody. You go to your search and you type SNIP, snipe or snip, sniping tool or snipping tool. Some people call it all differently, depending on where you come from. This, what do you pronounce this word as a? Okay, if you go there, guys, see the snipping tool, click on that thing. It's going to open up. Once it opens up, you do new. Then your screen will go a little bit dark. Then you can click and drag till you pick the space you need. So I want to copy just this thing for today. And I'll copy that. Once I click on that, it is copied. I've made a screenshot of that thing, which is, just hang on, where did mine go to? Just 1 second, guys. Mine just disappeared. Ha, ha, ha. Mine disappeared. I don't want this one. That's something different. Just 1 second, people. Oh, it's sitting right here. So this is mine, guys. I can write on it if I want to. See, I could do all kinds of things, but except you have a smart device, your writing will never be good. Control Z. Then now, guys, I can do Control C, or I can click here to save. Or I think the next window is to copy. Control C. So I copy this and I'll go to my Evernote document and I'll save it there. So guys, if I go to my Evernote, where's my Evernote? Just hang on 1 second. Did my Evernote ever finish installation? It's still installing, crying out loud. But let me go to my old Evernote, I think. Oh, tell you the truth, I've got too many things running on my computer. Otherwise, you copy this, guys, you go to like even our classroom group right here, and I will do Control V to paste. So go to classroom. Yep, thank you, Larry, you have it there. I do Control V and I paste it in the classroom. So by tomorrow, everybody should be able to draw that little diagram. And by the end of tomorrow, everybody should be able to explain that diagram. Cool. Somebody's still in our free class. We are now in the new class, guys. Bill, everybody join the new classroom. So that is how we're going to make notes. You copied it, save it in Evernote, and you are fine. All right. So we work on that tomorrow, guys. Let me just come back here and we continue. We're going to work on all of that stuff I just showed tomorrow. So we got 13 more minutes. Oh my God. So guys, that is just the second terminology we need, called the Oracle database block. And the entire database is built on the Oracle database block, the smallest unit of storage that we're going to deal with. Okay. And if you wrote that, there's 2 more words I should write near it before I leave. And the 2 new words that I will write, and I'll put a big question sign by them, would be this, guys. 2 words that we're going to study throughout the class. One of them would be row migration. Has to do with the Oracle database block. And the other one is going to be row, let me see, row migration and row migration, row fragmentation, row chaining is the next one. So those 2 words are 2 words that I want everybody to keep in the back of their mind. And we are going to study those 2 words very, very closely. And they have to do with the raw data area and the free space of the block. So everybody do that, put a big question sign. Maybe this is the picture, whoever took a screenshot. when I zoom in again, take a screenshot of this. Yeah, because we need to remember, we need to look at those two words as we go along. So if I need to take a screenshot, I go back to, let me pick much more sophisticated tool that I can use. Just 1 second. Do yes. Yes. Where are we? Oops, I'm missing something there. Just 1 second, guys. What am I missing? Escape. Just 1 second, my screen doesn't look right. Okay, we go back. Need to take that screenshot again. Screenshot. Base guard. What? Okay, let me take the simplistic tool. Somebody take that screenshot for me. Put it in the group, guys. Yeah, keep doing that. It's taking the wrong thing for me. Yes. So this is our first day of class. So by the last day of class, I'll remind you guys that, hey, you remember what the picture we took on the last day, first day of class? I want you to bring that up. Do you still remember? Cool. Need to remember that. Row chaining, row migration, what is that? Something you're going to hear about for a long time. So let's look at two more words before we leave. Hey, so guys, let's get to our next word, which is called bottleneck. What's a bottleneck? Guys, bottleneck is just what it is. In computers, a bottleneck is a system component that limits the performance of the system. Like guys, you have a computer, but you have less memory and your computer starts to run, but because of less memory, it cannot do multiple tasks. So at that point, your memory is the bottleneck. Okay? It's just like you have a car and the tires are not good. So it's not going as smoothly and as fast as it should. So at that point, the tires are the bottleneck, not the engine of the car. Cool. Then our next thing would be the buffer. What is the buffer? Guys, everybody catch that word there. What is a buffer in computers or in a database? Specifically Oracle in this case. So here, guys, the term buffer refers to an amount of memory used to store data. Guys, that's all I need you to remember about buffer today. An amount of memory used to store data. A buffer stores data that is about to be used or, guys, to be used or that has just been used. People catch those two words there, about or just been used, about to be used or just been used. Guys, data that is about to be used or just been used. In many cases, buffers are in-memory copies. So guys, let's write this. Buffers are in-memory copies of data that is also on disk. Take note of that. Buffers can be used as a copy of data for quick, guys, a copy of data for quick read access. They can be modified and written to disk, or they can be created in memory as temporary storage. That's what buffers are. Guys, so whenever you hear the word buffer, whenever you hear the word buffer, think memory. So, memory area or space. In Oracle, database buffers of the SGA. There's a new word here. We're going to see SGA. Okay. And they say here that database buffers of the SGA store the most recently used blocks of database data. The set of database block buffers is known as the buffer cache. So we see a new word here, buffer cache. What is a buffer cache? It's written right here, guys. If you're asked what is a buffer cache, the answer is a set of database block buffers in memory. The buffers used to temporarily store redo entries until they can be written to disk are known as redo lock buffers. So we're going to see there are different kinds of buffers, okay? Different kinds of buffers. Let me tell you guys, this little section here is full of things we're going to study. And we saw a word called SG. I want everybody to write me down this word for me, guys. It's 3 minutes before we end for the day. Everybody write this for me. SGA. SGA stands for System Global Area. System Global. No, let me kind of reverse. System or shared. So the S could stand for the word system or the word shared. And then the G stands for global. And the A is area. System or shared global area equals SGA. Catch that. And I think with that, it is 2 minutes before time. Can I finish the word cache? Yeah, let me just finish cache. Let me just finish what is a cache. So guys, let's move to the next one. Cache. Whenever I hear the word cache, what comes into mind? Also memory. Believe it or not, cache is also memory. Memory area. A cache is a storage area used to provide fast access. So guys, just write this down, then we can end for the day. Your last thing to write.
Can we have this material?
Yes. A storage area used to provide fast access to data. The key word here is this, guys. A cache provides fast access to data. Whatever you put in the cache means the computer can get it very, very quickly. In hardware terms, The cache is a small relative to main RAM, amount of memory that is much faster than main memory. An area. So guys, if you notice where I wrote memory area, right? What I want to write near it is memory area faster than main RAM. If you all remember in our introductory class, we said RAM stands for random access memory. So cache is actually faster. It's memory, but a special kind of memory that's way faster than regular memory. Then the last line there says the memory is used to reduce the time it takes to reload frequently used data or instructions into the CPU. CPU chips themselves contain small amounts of memory built as cache. So a CPU actually contains cache, guys, most CPUs. In Oracle, the block buffers and shared memory are considered caches. Catch this, guys. Block buffers and shared memory are considered caches in Oracle. Why? Because they are used to store data and instructions for quick access. Caching is very effective in reducing the time it takes to retrieve frequently used data. Guys, you would hear about caching almost your entire career in computers. Whether you are a database specialist, architect, designer, or what, you're going to hear of caching. And what is the main purpose of caching? Reduce the time it takes to retrieve frequently used data. So most frequently used data is stored in the cache. Okay, I would end right there, and tomorrow we would continue down there. And let me put a date up here so we remember. I will start this on September 12th, 2022. So I would say I'll see you guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. Come with your computers so we can start looking at things like, let me see. I know I had some other things to show you guys, but lack of time, we cannot get into them. For example, what we're just talking about, right, is the database. And this is a typical database integration, a typical database monitoring tool. We talked about the SGA. We talked about the cache. You see buffer cache here. We mentioned the word redo-lock buffer cache somewhere. Where is that? Ding, 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 redo-lock buffer cache. Okay. So all we talked about was that SGA. See the SGA and the caches, they're all in here. It's memory area where the database keeps information for quick access. So your sessions, your users log in here and they connect to the server process, and the server process connects to the SGA, and background processes connect to the SGA, take the information and put it on storage disk. The database block that we talked about, a database block is found in the database files. So the database files contain the database block. So when you get data, when you query the database, select from the database, what the database does is it actually takes the blocks from the database files and brings it over. Who takes it? The server process. It actually takes it around and then puts it in the buffer cache for you. But that information, the block goes round and comes back and sits in the buffer cache for you. And when it sits here, that is when in reality, you can read and you see it as the user. It sits here and the server process now can show you the data. The server process is very, very useful. That's how come you see the draw it bake. Okay, it takes data into the database and takes it back out. Or rather, no, the server process takes data into this SGA, and then the background processes take the data from the SGA to the data files, but only the server process can read it from the database file to give you back your data. So we're going to study this diagram. And where you see movement now, that is data moving from some place to another. So we're going to study how this whole thing works. This is like the architecture of a typical database. So within the next 3 weeks, we would understand this architecture, and you'll be able to look at this and you explain to somebody what is happening here. Okay, that's why I said we're going to draw. So we're going to try to draw this thing manually. Scribble with your hands, then you'll be able to remember. That Oracle database block that we just drew is in here. All right, guys, so it's 10:36. Let's call it quit for the day, and we would meet again tomorrow. If you have any question, because we're running out of time, just save it, and tomorrow we would answer your questions. Thank you and good night.